We're joined by Eric Feinberg. He's the Vice President for Content Moderation at the Coalition for a Safer Web. What is the answer? Is there one? Is it more government regulation? What are your first thoughts tonight, Eric?
Thanks for having me on. Yes, you hit it, government regulation. All these problems we hear about these tech companies, it's the symptom. The disease is unregulation. Name me an industry in this country, the airlines, pharmaceutical, broadcast, FTC, that has no regulation. And as long as we continue and not regulate or put guardrails to these companies, we're going to continue time and time again, every week, every month, to hear these reports.
Okay, this comes down to something, we don't have to dig into all the weeds of this, but Section 230 of the Kids Online Safety Act, which has been talked about a lot about, over the last number of years regarding social media companies. The way I usually try to think about it is that there's a debate. Are they platforms, right, or are they publishers? And that distinction seems to matter in terms of how they'll be regulated. So how do you see all of this playing out? How should it play out? What might the regulation look like?
Well, you hit something, what I say. When the Communications Decency Act in 1996 was written, it was a bulletin board. Now, because of the algorithm, it's not the bulletin board. It's the paper, pen, and the tack, which gives it then a different behavioral pattern as opposed to when the Communications Decency Act in 1996 was written.
So this can be done, though. This regulation can be done and be done effectively.
It should be done. I don't understand why, especially when it comes to COSA. It basically, where do you have Marsha Blackburn and Blumenthal agreeing with something? And I'm not understanding, after years and years of parents, advocating for this, that Senator Schumer won't bring it to the floor of the Senate for a vote. It bewilders me. Right,
because the companies, have always argued they kind of should be immune from this. That, you're a platform like Facebook or, X, Twitter, that you had a third party, that you shouldn't be held responsible for what a third party puts up on your platform. That's always been their side of it, right?
Yeah, but I just told you, because the algorithm, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And again, it's media. You're media. You're regulated by the FCC. I'm an ex-ad professional. Okay, we were regulated and copy of what we could put on, and there was certain even media platforms, publishers and broadcast, that sometimes would not allow the advertising content we created, or we had to edit it before it went on.
Right. So the next step here is you have Republicans. You made a good point there. If you have, usually opposed Republicans and Democrats, people never get along on anything, kind of agreeing on this. You would think it would be easy, but it hasn't been. This has been a conversation we've been having for years and years.
Yeah, well, because the tech lobby is one of the largest lobbies in D.C.
Right.
And on a personal note, across my travels, I've met scores, if not hundreds, of parents who have been victimized by this. There's a group I sit in once a month of some incredible parents whose kids, it's called the Fair Play Screen Time Action Network. Mm-hmm. Once a month they have this. The people who run it, it's heartbreaking when I sit into this. And unfortunately, the group keeps growing.
Right.
This is heartbreaking to me.
Right. I mean, it's dangerous stuff that's out there for very vulnerable children. Eric Feinberg, thank you tonight for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now,
thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.